My name is Annie Rhodes, and this is my informative speech about the Titanic. The Titanic was a British luxury ocean liner, one of the finest of her day. She was called unsinkable for her safety features, her size, and her beauty. However, on April 15, 1912, the Titanic did in fact sink after hitting an iceberg. This reputation for the worst sea disaster in history was not the only thing the Titanic was remembered for. The tragedy of the Titanic sinking was a catalyst for change in safety conditions at sea regarding the areas of lifeboat regulations in icy waters, and wireless operators. One of the main contributions to the downfall of the Titanic was the shortage of lifeboats. There was extra room on the boat for more lifeboats, but the designers didn't want to put them on there because they said it wouldn't look as impressive. Also, there was no set place and plan of what to do in case of an emergency. Also, after the Titanic crashed, some of the lifeboats were lowered into the ocean only half full. The British Wreck Commissioner's inquiry was conducted after the sinking, and laws were passed to prevent something like this from ever happening again. One of the main recommendations it made was that the number of lifeboats on board be determined upon the number of people and not the weight. Also, a recommendation was that there be a plan of what to do and where to go in case of an emergency. Finally, there would be lifeboat drills twice a month. The Titanic also received several warnings about ice in the area. However, all warnings were ignored, considering the ship was supposed to be unsinkable. They also wanted to make an impressive time to New York, considering this was her first voyage. The British Wreck Commissioner's inquiry made several recommendations regarding icy waters. One of the main ones was that for every 100 people on board, there would be 2 searchlights to help detect icy waters in the area. Also, that if ice was reported, that the ship would either greatly reduce its speed or change its path completely. The Titanic had outstanding wireless equipment and had 2 wireless operators. Most vessels only had 1 wireless operator, so the Titanic having 2 was considered a sign of her importance. However, there is no direct link from the wireless room to the bridge. On the afternoon before the Titanic hit the iceberg, the wireless operators went down for several hours. This caused a backlog of messages that needed to be deleted. But during this time, the Titanic received several warnings about ice in the area, but considering the backlog, these important messages were never received. The British Wreck Commissioner's inquiry recognized that the regulations regarding wireless operators were outdated and needed improvement. Some of the main recommendations were that a sufficient number of operators be trained and that one of them was consistently awake at all times. Another was that there needed to be easier communication between the wireless room and the bridge. Finally, there needed to be an alternate power source available to ensure that a wireless operator be working at all times. The sinking of the Titanic was a great disaster in history that will never be forgotten, but it forced the government to make laws and regulations to ensure that something like this would never happen again.